Yo, what's good? You know what it is. It's Chris O'Connor. This is Life and Entrepreneurship. Today I want to talk about my very first team, what it was like when I hired my very first employee, when I had hired full-time staff members for the first time, salaried employees that received a check every 2 weeks. And of course, if you're aspiring to run a business or run a company or own your own company, you're gonna need a team. You're gonna need a staff. And I think we know this going into business when you're aspiring to start a company. And sometimes, especially if you're in the creative field, the idea of working with other people sounds exciting. You get to collaborate, you're bringing like-minded people together and everybody's gonna contribute to this vision of yours that you have, and it's going to be great. And that's the way you plan it out. That's the way you see it in your head. In actuality, it's not that pretty of a process. It's a lot of stress that comes with it. Nothing great that I have ever accomplished was done alone. I've always had an incredible team of people. You absolutely can't accomplish anything great without a team. You know that. There's only so far you can go by yourself. But there are certain things that you will face when working with a team that may lead to you being more stressed out than you were before you started the process or you started on that journey. It may force you to learn new things about yourself, places where you have issues with your ego, where you have issues taking feedback and constructive criticism. Even though you are always preaching, if you are a leader, you should be preaching and teaching that people can be candid, people can be honest, people can challenge you. If you don't like working in a team environment, you don't like the tension that comes with a team, if you don't like the disagreement and the stress that comes with managing a team, leading a team, being a part of a team, then be a freelancer. Just do freelance work and go out on your own. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people making great money, even six figures a year, $100,000 a year, whatever, on their own. And I think that's great. If you have a bigger picture, you have a bigger dream, a bigger vision, and you want to build a brand that's going to be lasting, you want to build something that will impact the world, impact change, provide opportunities for other people, job opportunities for other people. You really want to build something great that's bigger than you and that can live on even after you are no longer around, then you absolutely have to have a team. There's certain projects that we take on now where if we didn't have a certain minimum number of employees, we were not qualified to send in a proposal for their project. So we'd have people send us RFPs. RFP is a request for a proposal. And, if we had less than 5 employees, we were not qualified for that opportunity. And so, you have to make a decision on where you want to be and what level you want to be at. For me, being a production company, it was a matter of, what kind of brand do I want to have? Do I want to have a brand where, it's just me and I'm running around with a camera? Or did I want to build a company, a brand, someone that can take on major projects from major clients, 6-figure projects, to where we're not making 6 figures in a year, we're making 6 figures off of one project, and things like that, and that requires a team. One major thing that I learned starting off as a young entrepreneur and a young leader was that I didn't have to have all the answers. And it took me a little time to figure that out because you see an entrepreneur, you see a leader, at least you see them on television or you read about them, you just see them being such charismatic, dynamic leaders, and it seems like they have all the answers, right? Like sometimes I just wanted to know the answer. I wanted to be that genius, that brilliant business leader that just has the answer, very sharp. So you got a question, I had an answer. And when that wasn't happening, it led to me doubting myself. So once I stopped putting that pressure on myself to know everything and to feel like I needed to know everything, and I opened up the floor for the team to make contributions and for the team to ask questions and really be engaged and really be involved, I found out that our projects turned out better. The brand started to grow faster, and the projects were just more successful. The outcome was better. That's what the team is for. Successful leaders and CEOs that are successful, that is because they have a successful team of people and advisors that they are able to get advice from. Two things. One, people have to really feel like you value their opinion and like their contribution matters. If you don't value your teammates' opinion, what did you hire them for, right? And two, people have to feel confident and unafraid to be honest with you. If employees are afraid to be honest with you, you won't get an honest outcome. You won't get 100% effort from them. People are only gonna tell you what they think you want to hear, and that may not necessarily be the right thing or the right solution for the project. So you have to encourage people and allow people the opportunity to give their input, even if you as the leader decide not to take it. In business, you will be challenged. You will have certain employees that are yes men and they'll just do whatever you say. You'll have other employees that challenge you, question your ideas. That used to be very, very frustrating as a young entrepreneur. I didn't like being questioned, right? It's like, do it because I'm asking you to do it because I know, right? But that's not the way, that's not the right way. You want to encourage people to ask questions. That's how you get the best answers. That's how you get the best outcome. When we started working together as a team and the staff saw us as a team, things just really started to flourish, and people saw me as a contributor versus someone who was just basically pointing out their wrongs and saying, oh, that sucks and that's terrible, do away with that, and that's not what I told you to do, and that's not what I asked you to do. And so people became more comfortable, people became more creative, and people became more experimental, which is what you want. You want people to experiment. People may get things wrong, that's okay. Now, time is money, and sometimes your budget doesn't allow for endless experimentation, but you'll be surprised if you allow people the freedom to experiment and you're not standing over their shoulder micromanaging. And I think at first that's something else that I was doing. I was micromanaging because I wanted it done a certain way, and it had to be done right. It had to be done that way because I thought that way was the only way for it to look good or to work out. Sometimes as a leader, you will get in your own way. And it's a challenge because you're trying to learn and grow individually as a leader. You're dealing with your own personal struggles, your own personal ego, while trying to manage the struggles, egos, and issues of the other people. And you're trying to hold it all together. You're trying to hold your sanity together and maintain a company. And it's one of the most stressful things I've ever done in my life. Your job is to present an idea and give people the freedom to execute and help execute that idea. Give people the freedom to challenge. And your job is then to organize and make sure things are functioning and flowing, and that the team has the resources and tools they need to get the job done. Just because you are challenged by staff and you've encouraged staff to be honest and to have candor, and you've created that type of environment and people are giving you their honest opinion, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right decision. And so I think that's just some of the stress that comes with being a leader, is knowing when to take that advice and when to trust your gut, trust your own experience, and make the right decision that you think is best for the overall brand. Because ultimately, even though the company consists of a team of people and the team of people make a contribution, the success or failure of the company rests in your hands. It's ultimately up to you to make sure before any product or anything goes out of the door, it accurately represents the brand that you envisioned and the brand that you built and the ideals and foundation that you created. They have to be in line, and sometimes, like I said, you have to trust your own gut and intuition, and just make the decision and go from there. So it's important that you don't neglect your own intuition and your own gut feeling. And I know sometimes it's hard to do, to trust yourself, but you also have to learn how to be decisive and just make a decision, and whatever the outcome is, whether it's good or bad, take responsibility for it, and learn from that experience and grow. Now, this brings me to my next point. If you are the leader of a group of people, leader of a team, a company, organization, whatever it may be, you will not always be the favorite person in the room or the favorite person in the building. Oftentimes, you'll be the most disliked person there because you have to make the tough decision. And sometimes making the tough decision means telling an employee no, or taking and considering the input from your team and advisors, but then going with your gut and doing what you think is best. And sometimes when you do that, basically people take it personally. I struggled a little bit at first finding that happy medium when I was a young entrepreneur. The happy medium between allowing the staff and the team to go about a project how they thought would be best and to execute the way they thought would be best, and being honest when things may not have been going as well, or when I looked at something and I really didn't like it and I knew it wasn't good and I had to say it wasn't good, or we need to redo that, or I dislike this about that. And I struggle with that, mainly because, again, people at the time, the staff I had, didn't react to it well. They didn't react to constructive criticism well. They took it personally. You better believe when you are not in the room, your team is talking about you. Whether they're saying good things about you or bad things about you, you are at the top of that pyramid or totem pole, whatever it is. And because the ultimate decisions rest on your shoulders, you are usually the talk of the office or talk of the town or whatever. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but that's not something you can worry about. And again, that's one of those things that as a young entrepreneur starting off, I struggled with that. I wanted to be liked by my team, but it was hard to be liked and make the tough decisions that everybody may not agree with or everybody may not like. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, I can't always be Mr. Nice Guy. And I don't mean for it to be personal at all. It's all about the company, the brand, and what's best in this particular situation. And then we ought to be able to wrap that up, be done with work, and go on about our lives and not have any personal feelings about it. Now, if you find that your team, your employees, or your company is struggling with that, and people are offended by you making what the decision you think is the right decision. Now, if they have a problem with that, you have to take action. You have to take action immediately. You have to do one of two things. One, you gotta go back again, have a meeting, and establish this environment and this culture where people understand that this is an honest environment. And if you're going to be here, you're going to work here, you have to learn how to take constructive criticism. You have to learn how to have the tough discussions where we may not always agree. The employee has to come back to work the next day and be able to execute and carry on their job without feeling or without bringing in just the personal baggage and just like having the ego and being upset that they didn't get their way in that situation. So if things aren't right, if people aren't taking constructive criticism well, if you're not taking constructive criticism well, you have to make a decision fast. These things have to be fixed quickly because it's about morale, right? So you got to fix your issues. You have to be able to be honest with yourself. When you go home and you look at a mirror, ask yourself, am I having an ego trip? Or am I right? You have to be able to make those decisions. And if you have a problem or if a teammate or employee is struggling and they're making everything personal, then you have to make the hard decision. And that means firing that person. And so On the next episode, we will get into that. We'll talk about, the first time I had to fire an employee and what that was like and why and everything like that. So accept the advice of your advisors. Allow your staff to give input. Allow them to feel like they are actually contributing to the project and feel connected to the project. Take their advice. Learn how to shut down your own ego and understand that it doesn't have to be exactly the way you see it, and you'll actually find that the project will be more successful and it'll be even more beautiful than you could have even imagined if you allow other colors and other ideas from other people at the table to impact the project. So with that, this is Chris O'Connor with ProdigyArts.com. This is Life and Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have so many more topics that I want to talk about. I was gonna put all of this stuff in a book, but I've decided to do this YouTube channel instead, and it's just all about my personal experiences dealing with life as a human being while also being an entrepreneur, a leader, and a company owner. And just the wisdom and the lessons that I've learned from doing it. All right, so until next time, peace.